The Mitford Murders, Book 1 in the series written by Jessica Fellows and read by Rachel Atkins. Prologue. 12th of January, 1920. Florence Shaw arrived at Victoria Station at 2:45 p.m. in a cab. It was an extravagance, all the way from Hammersmith, but one she felt she deserved. The style of arrival befitted her new fur coat, a birthday present to herself that she'd worn for the first time only the day before to impress her aunt, Baroness Farina, over china tea and ginger thins, her aunt apologising for the lack of cake. Florence had been at this station only 20 hours earlier, when she returned from the day trip to her relation in Tunbridge, and now she was heading back in almost the same direction to St. Leonards-on-Sea, where her good friend Rosa Peel lived above a tea shop. Besides the birthday and the fur coat, reason enough for anyone to take a cab rather than the 2 buses it would take to cross the city, Florence was excused her choice of transport thanks to her substantial luggage: a dispatch box, a large suitcase, her vanity case, an umbrella, and a handbag. Furthermore, on the question of reckless spending, it was only 2 months since she'd been demobilised, so she'd spent few of the extravagances she might have allowed herself since inheriting money from her sister 5 years before. Not to mention she had her savings. That decided it then. Florence hailed a porter. She would tip him handsomely if he bore her cases without complaint. "To platform 9, please," she told him, "by the 3rd-class carriages." Her self-indulgence had a limit. Free from her loads, Florence adjusted her neat fur hat and shook out her long skirt. The pre-war fashion suited her figure better. She wished occasionally she could stand to lose the corset, but she couldn't get used to it. The one time she'd walked out without her stays, she had felt as if she were parading down the street naked. According to ritual, she patted her handbag, held on to her umbrella for walking support, and marched with purpose to the ticket office. She did not have time to waste. There was a post office in the station, and she wondered if she should send a note to the porter at her lodgings to let her know she'd gone away, but decided against it. She could write from St. Leonard's after all. She carried on towards the ticket office, relieved to see that there were no long queues, and stood behind an agreeable-looking young woman at stand number 6. Florence admired the slim figure before her, glossy hair swept up and tucked into a large hat trimmed with navy satin. The fashion for bobbed hair had not yet quite swept the capital in the way she had seen in Paris, though she suspected it wouldn't be long. Speedily, the woman bought her ticket and, on completing her transaction, gave Florence a fleeting smile before going on her way. Florence faced the ticket officer, a bearded man in a cap behind glass. She briefly wondered how the railway authorities permitted beards, then reminded herself that he could have facial disfigurements from the war that he wished to disguise. It was common enough, as she knew all too well. "Yes, ma'am," he prompted. "Where to?" "3rd class to Warrior Square, St. Leonard's, please. Returning a week today." Florence saw him glance at her war medal, and he gave her a look as if to say, "You're one of us." What he actually said was, "Platform 9. You're in time for the 3:20. It's a fast train to Lewes where it separates. Front carriages to Brighton, rear carriages to Hastings. You want to sit in the back." "Yes, I know," said Florence, "but thank you." 6 shillings, then." She already had a bag on the ledge before her. The correct change was swiftly fetched from her purse. Deft even in gloved fingers, Florence handed the money over and received in turn the small, stiff rectangles. Carefully, the return portion was secreted in the bag. The outward-bound ticket she kept in her hand, the clasp snapped shut.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?